breaking through the bamboo ceiling, a migrant's journey. So, obviously, the first topic of the evening is the ceiling. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called the bamboo ceiling. So we're going to explore the ceiling. We're going to touch the ceiling. We're going to feel the ceiling, and we're going to look at it. We're going to size it up and see how we're going to break it. Right? And then I have a few topics which I'm really just going to briefly touch on and hopefully generate some ideas and discussion, as well as sharing some of my thoughts on some of these topics. Running the one-horse race, the wonders of goal setting, making informed decisions, never say die, and the company you keep. So, borrowing that term, the glass ceiling, and convert it into the bamboo ceiling, the question I guess we have to ask ourselves is, as migrants in Australia, do we believe that there's really a ceiling? You know? Do you see and feel a ceiling at your workplace? What does it look like? Is the ceiling really based on your ethnicity? Is your background, your ethnicity, a determining factor on whether you are assigned the role that you are qualified for, that you're obviously demonstrating the capability and the aptitude for? Especially when you've been in a situation where you felt that you've really tried your best, and you feel in your heart of hearts that you are more than qualified for this. And in fact, it all looks like you might be in that position to grab that opportunity, and then something happens. And quite often you're given a reason, and there's a budget cut, or you know, this person has been here a year longer than you have, blah, blah, blah. And whilst you might understand intellectually, that sounds reasonable, but you walk away thinking, really? Is that all it is? Is there any other factor that is influencing the corporate decision? Did my manager consider other factors as well? Okay. So my experience is thinking about this, while it's very natural and it's very much part of the human condition, especially at times of doubt, at times of vulnerability in your quiet moments, it is very natural to think about that. And I would say, don't beat yourself up for thinking that, because we all have doubts, whether it's about your ethnicity, about your gender, or even about your age. So the question, I think, is not whether that ceiling exists, but how you handle yourself and how you present yourself. So here are a list of questions that I've thought of, that I've actually used in my own situation, especially when some of these doubts creep in. For example, what real advancement opportunities exist in your workplace? Because sometimes you can think about, you know, the bamboo ceiling or whatever ceiling you want to apply on yourself, but sometimes you fail to really understand the corporate strategy. You know, is the business really doing well? Is your company actually growing? And regardless of what the managers might be saying to you, or what the CEO is saying, how wonderful it's all going to be, are there other information that tells you otherwise? And as we advance higher and higher within the corporate hierarchy, obviously the hierarchy is like a pyramid, and the higher you go, the opportunities get less and less. Not everyone is going to be the CEO of a company. I hate to break that to you, but not all of us are going to make it, right? And that is the reality. Are you clear about the expectations on your role? What I found in my own experience, and quite often working with migrants that have recently started working in Australia, we bring a lot of the work ethic and that sheer determination from where we've come from. But at the same time, we also bring some of the preconceived ideas and some of the work behaviors and work cultures from our home country, whereby if I just work really hard, I'm seen to be busy all the time, I put in extra hours, they have to recognize me. They must reward me. But sometimes those value systems and beliefs may not work so well in Australia. And sometimes it's worth taking a step back and actually challenging some of those beliefs. If it was that straightforward, we would all pull 12 hours a day and we'll all get promoted, if it was that simple. So in your workplace, what does good look like? More importantly, what does great look like? Quite often, we work so hard to meet expectation, to be a good team member, a good worker. But let me put it to you, to advance in the workplace, good is not good enough. You need to be great. You don't have to be great at everything that you do, but you have to be great on something that matters. You have to be great on something that your manager's going to go, oh, this one's got something special. So it's worth thinking about what great looks like, and do you have that? Does your role interact with customers, and what do they expect? Quite often, we spend so much time pleasing our bosses and our team members that we lose sight on the customer. And for a lot of us that are maybe not in frontline sales positions, often forget that one of the most powerful weapons you've got is if your customers love your service, or what you do has impact on the way the customer perceives the company and its brand. That if you can directly connect what you do with end result, with the customer, increase in revenue, improvement in brand, higher customer satisfaction, and you can quantify and take that back to your management and demonstrate that, that is more powerful than anything else. That's more powerful than all the words and all the assurances that I'm working as hard as I can, see I'm putting all the hours. Right? What skills, product, market, and local knowledge must you possess to be effective? That's a no-brainer. Quite often we come in and we're working hard and we're looking at the role that we're at now. But what about the role that you're trying to shoot for? So we'd all like to think that if we've worked very hard for the last 1 year, 3 years, 5 years that we've paid our dues, we should be promoted. I should now be manager. But do you stop and think about, well, today I'm a team member. I may be the best team member in the team. Works the hardest, works the smartest, always have good ideas. But what does the manager do that is different from my current role? Just because I'm the most super duper team member, does that mean I possess all the skills to be the manager? Because the manager has a very different job and a very different perspective to me. What makes that difference? Have you spoken to your manager and find out how did the manager get to where they are? Did they have to develop some other skills behind the scenes? Maybe not very obvious to the team, but they've been quietly working on some of those things that helps them to be ready for management role when one day the opportunity opens and they go jump, they're there and they're ready. Do you feel comfortable in the work environment? And do you feel highly motivated that you fit in with the team? That's something very dear to my heart, because what I found in the workplace, and especially amongst people from a migrant background, so often we come in, we work, and we work so hard to contribute. We are there after 5:30, 6 o'clock when the rest of the team has gone home. And yet you find that you're not recognized. The team are quite happy for you to take the extra workload and do the heavy lifting. Right? But there's a niggling feeling that tells you that, I don't know if they fully appreciate what I'm doing. And I don't know if the manager fully appreciates that I am taking the extra workload. And if I'm not doing that work, the team is not going to meet the outcome, or the end result's not going to be great. So I think rather than doing the obvious, the hard stuff, the working hard, getting the skills, lining everything up, you need to listen to your heart. Because I found also that sometimes it's not your background. It's simply how your personality gels with the team and with the manager. And unless you feel that everything's connected and working well for you, don't be surprised that you're not going to be the first one to be put up for that promotion. Because you're not top of mind in your manager's eyes, even though you've worked very hard. So What does ignoring the ceiling enable you to do? Asking you some of those hard questions from different angles. Put simply, it allows you to look at where your current strengths are, but also starting to formulate a vision based on your imagination or based on looking at the role models that have made it, that are at a higher level in their career. What capabilities do they possess? And the harder question is, why do people like them? Why do people look up to them? Why are the top managers always asking them for advice and not me? Why did the guy that got promoted always get asked out to have a beer with the manager, but not me? And once you've really worked out that picture and where you want to get to, how do you come up with a plan day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year to get you there? So the moment you stop looking at the ceiling and wondering where it is and when you're going to hit your head against the ceiling, you can concentrate on the most important thing, which is yourself, and not this imaginary ceiling.